Made with Spoken.
Walker Wildcats Year 1, Age 10, Episode 3, Road Trip from the Extraordinarily Ordinary Life of Cassandra Jones. By Tamara Heiner. Chapter 1. Family Vacation. We have an announcement to make, Dad says as we sit down to the traditional spaghetti Sunday dinner. I perk up. An announcement. Dad mentioned to me last night that he had a surprise, and I've been anxiously waiting since then. I glance at Mom. Is she finally pregnant? I'm the oldest of 4 kids, but she's been trying for another for so many years. We've all kind of given up on the idea. What is it? I ask. Hold your horses, Mom says, extending her hands out to us so we can take them, after prayer. I obediently take my mother's hand in my own, and my sister's hand with the other. Once everyone's hands are held, Dad bows his head and says a blessing on the food. Amen, I echo, then lift my head to study my mother. Well, what is it? I ignore the bowl of spaghetti that comes my way. We're taking a family vacation later this month. But we have school, Emily, my sister only 2 grades below me says. How can we go on vacation? Well, we'll have to pull you out of school. That will be okay, right? Mom says. Yes, Scott cheers. Even though he's only 6 years old, he hates everything school-related. Vacation! That's cool, I say, finally piling some noodles on my plate. Hopefully Ms. Dawson, my teacher, won't mind. I add some sauce and cheese to the noodles. Personally, I like vacations in the summertime. I can go to the pool, hang out in the sun. With Thanksgiving just weeks away, I don't consider this prime time to travel or play. But who am I to complain? Where are we going? Well, your aunt and uncle in Georgia invited us to have Thanksgiving with them. We thought, since we're going to be driving that far south, we would just make a trip of it and go to Florida too. Maybe go to Disney World again. I stop with a forkful of food almost in my mouth. Emily coughs on a swallow of water and sputters. Disney World? I've always wanted to go there. Me too, Scott says. Even little Annette gets involved, shouting, Yeah, me too. Well, everyone's been before except Annette, Mom reminds us. You just don't remember because you were little. I remember, I say. I remember lots of it. But the memories are hazy, foggy, like looking in the mirror after a shower. I can't be sure what is real and what is my imagination. I don't remember anything, Emily says. Don't expect it to be anything exciting, Dad says. In fact, maybe we should just skip the whole Disney part. Really boring. His statement is met with loud cries of dismay, and he grins. Or not. Then be sure and tell your teachers. We leave in a week. Wait, what about Scaredy? I say, my eyes widening in alarm as I think about my dog. We're not leaving him behind, are we? Relax, honey, Mom says, patting my hand. We have a sitter for both dogs and the cat. Of course. I nod. I should have known they'd think of that. Disney World! Danelle squeals. She hands her milk carton to me because I always need more milk at lunch. That's so awesome! I've never been. It's going to be cold, Riley says. She primps her short strawberry blonde hair with the palm of her hand and then picks up a sliver of bell pepper. You won't have fun. I wrinkle my nose, both at the smell of the peppers and at Riley's words. Danelle and Riley are my best friends and have been since I moved to Arkansas earlier this year. But the 2 girls don't like each other, so I always feel stuck in the middle, figuratively and sometimes literally. Those stink. Riley leans closer to me and takes a big bite of pepper. Yum. I pull my head back. Ugh. How do you know? Have you been to Florida in November? No, I don't want to either. Sounds boring. Boring? Danelle says, arching an eyebrow. Danelle is the complete opposite to Riley's petite frame. She's thicker through the shoulders with brown hair. Who doesn't want to go to Disney World? Oh, wait, I get it. You're jealous. She whispers loudly to me. Riley acts this way when someone else is getting something she can't have. Riley's cheeks turn beet red. Her nostrils flare, and I bet she wants to throw something at Danelle. Why don't you like Disney? I ask, trying to dig us out of the angry feelings swirling around us. It's for little kids, Riley snaps. Are you a little kid? Danelle hooks an arm through mine and tugs me toward her. How would you know, Riley? It's not like you've ever left Arkansas. That intrigues me. I moved here from Texas, so I have those 2 states under my belt, not to mention all the other ones my family has visited. Really? You've never been out of Arkansas? Who cares? Riley bites down hard on another pepper. I've got everything I need right here. Danelle huffs and mumbles under her breath. Riley stands up, holding her lunch tray close to her chest. I'm done eating. I told you, Danelle says as Riley walks away. I told you she's annoying and immature. If she doesn't like something, she tries to make other people feel bad. How can you know that? I shake my head. You went to the same preschool. She's not the same person. Yeah? She seems the same to me. Danelle pulls a toothbrush out of her purse. She always brushes her teeth after lunch, or food gets stuck in her braces. I'm excited for you. Buy me something nice. Thanks, Danelle, I say, glad at least one of my friends is happy for me. I don't understand Riley. We're in the same girls' club after school, and we get along great most of the time. Sometimes it seems Riley decides she can't stand me anymore, or she's tired of me, and the mood swings often blindside me. Ms. Dawson approaches me on Friday with a stack of papers. You said you'll be gone for a full week? I look at the papers and gulp. I give an apprehensive nod. Yeah, well, a week of school, and then the week of Thanksgiving. We start driving today. Ms. Dawson didn't say anything about homework yet, and the closer it got to the end of the day, the more hopeful I become that there wouldn't be any. Well, I wrote down all of your assignments. She hands me the top sheet, which has columns broken down into days, books, and page numbers. That will get you through the week. And here are the worksheets you'll need to do. She places the rest of the papers on my desk. I nod, trying not to look disappointed. There will be plenty of time on the drive down to Florida for me to work on this stuff. Have a blast, Ms. Dawson says, giving me a smile. We'll see you when you get back. I say goodbye to my friends before I get on the bus, even though Riley has remained cool and distant all week. I'm serious, Danelle says. Bring me something cool. I laugh and hope Danelle isn't that serious because I don't have money to buy things. My dad is home when the bus drops me and my siblings off. All the doors and the trunk of the van are open as he loads it up for the trip. I need your suitcases, he says. Put whatever you're going to use to entertain yourselves in the seats next to you. Don't forget pillows and sleeping bags. I retrieve my suitcase from my room, packed the night before. I open my fun bag and make sure it has everything I need for a 2-day drive. I have 5 of my favorite books, stencils, and a collection of brain teaser puzzles. I open my backpack and add my homework to the fun bag. The blanket on my bed moves, and Scaredy pokes his head out. I pet his nose, letting him lick my hand. Don't forget me while I'm gone, I murmur. I carry my things out to the car, then go back to my room to give Scaredy a big goodbye hug. Be good for the babysitter. I'll see you when we get back. Chapter 2. Car trouble. It's a full 2 hours later before everyone is finally in the van. Dad is yelling, Emily is crying, Scott is complaining, and Mom just puts on her seatbelt, leans her head back, and shuts her eyes. We back out of the driveway, and Dad launches into a tirade about being ready on time and following instructions. This will be a lousy vacation if I have to yell at you kids every 5 minutes for not doing what I tell you. He makes eye contact with all of us in the rearview mirror. Nobody says anything for the first 20 minutes of the drive. I entertain myself with my puzzles and even feel some contentment at the thought of the hours in the car ahead of us. Not Scott. Why aren't we flying, he asks, just half an hour into the trip. It would be so much easier. Way too expensive, I say, knowing the answer before my father can say it. Just going to Disney is expensive. And we're going to 2 different places, Dad says. We'd have to fly to Florida and fly home from Georgia. Airlines don't like to do that. 20 minutes later, Scott is grumbling again. How much longer? Well, we've been driving less than an hour, Dad says, an edge of irritation in his voice. So we have about 6 hours left for today. That's too far, Scott groans. I wish desperately for some headphones. I can tell already this is going to be a long journey. The first day of driving is uneventful and dull. I start out strong doing my homework, but after about half an hour, I tire of it. We cross over into Tennessee and then Mississippi. I fan myself. Daddy, I say, it's getting hot back here. Turn the AC on, Jim, Mom says. You do it, he replies. I'm driving. A moment later, the cooler air begins to kick out of the vents above my seat. Must be nice weather outside, I say. Must be, Emily agrees. I see the sun shining. We listen to an audiobook and endure Scott's constant nagging before finally reaching a hotel around 10 at night for sleeping. All the excitement is gone the next morning as Dad marches us into the car around 6 a.m. Just 11 more hours, Mom says as everyone gets seated, as if that is supposed to be reassuring. I eat my morning Pop-Tart and go back to sleep. When I wake up, 2 hours have passed. I immerse myself in my stencils and then start reading my second book. When I finish it, I sigh and toss it on the seat beside me. Nothing is fun right now. What's that smell? I ask. At first, I thought it was someone's barbecue, but as it gets stronger, it just smells like something burning. Jim, pull over, Mom says, placing a hand on Daddy's arm and pointing out the window. Little puffs of smoke billow up from the hood. Dad grumbles something and I sit up straighter, trying to see over my siblings' heads in the middle row. Is the car broken? Emily asks. Let's hope not, I say, consulting the clock. We've only been driving 5 hours. We are nowhere near our final destination. Dad gets out of the car and props the hood up. I undo my seatbelt and Mom whips around. Do not get out of your seat, she orders. I make a face and redo my seatbelt. A few minutes later, Dad gets back in. I think it's overheating, he says. I need to get it to a mechanic to look at. Mom looks around, and I do too. We are on a highway somewhere in Georgia, with nothing around except thick trees, the colorful leaves still making their lazy descent from the upper branches to the ground. There aren't even any road signs or other cars driving around. Well, I guess we better pray it makes it to the next exit, Mom sighs. The next exit sign appears 10 minutes later, along with the words, "No services" written across the bottom. Dad puts his blinker on, the steady click, 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 reaching all the way to the back of the car. Don't take that exit, Mom snaps. There's no services. We'll just waste our time driving around. He takes off the blinker. 5 minutes later, another sign appears, this time with a few unrecognizable restaurants and gas stations listed. It's not really smoking anymore, Dad says. Maybe it was just a piece of leaf or something that caught fire and had to burn off. If you think so, Mom says. Yeah, I think we're good. I relax and pull out another one of my books. I know I should work on my homework, but that isn't nearly as interesting as reading. Crisis averted, I tell Emily. The car's fine. Are we there yet? Scott asks from the middle row. I'm hungry, Annette announces for the 100th time. Cassie, snacks, Mom says. I lean over and open the big green cooler between the 2 rows. Grapes, anyone? As I hand out the green globes, I think I smell smoke again. I sniff the air. What's that smell? Jim, Mom exclaims. The tires squeal as the van veers to the right. I grab onto Annette's chair as the car comes to a screeching halt. Without a word, Dad gets out and rounds the car. Mom sighs, and I finish handing out the grapes. I sit back and watch my dad pop the hood. Small ribbons of smoke rise up around him. He closes it and gets back in the car. Let's just sit for a bit, he says. It needs to cool off. This is definitely not fun. It's one thing to sit in a car for hours knowing we are getting closer to where we want to be. It's quite another to sit for hours and go nowhere. Plus, it's getting toasty in here. I push up the sleeves of my shirt and fan my face. Mom rolls down the windows. After about 20 minutes, Dad turns the engine on again. We sit, waiting for him to make his verdict. I sniff the air. I don't smell any smoke this time. The engine emits a deep hum, but otherwise it seems fine. All right, I think we're good. Dad eases his way back onto the interstate. We have to get to a mechanic before we go home, Mom says. I know, first thing tomorrow. How much longer? Scott whines. 6 more hours, Mom says. 6 more hours. That will get us there around 8 o'clock tonight. When we left the hotel, we'd hoped to get there a little before 7. Already lost an hour. I turn back to my book. I wipe my brow and realize I'm sweating. It's hot back here again. It's really hot, Jim, Mom says. Well, you want me to focus on driving or making the car comfortable? She exhales loudly and leans over the controls. It says the AC is on. Then it is. I put my hand up to the vent. It's blowing air, it's just not cold. Mom punches a bunch of buttons. Jim, it's not working. Has to be. It was working fine earlier. That was before the car started smoking, wasn't it? The 2 of them bicker back and forth. I try to tune them out and concentrate on my book. I don't want to think about how hot it feels back here. Dad pulls the van over and I look up. Why are we stopping? I ask. The van's smoking again, Mom mutters, pressing her fingers to the middle of her forehead. I hope she isn't getting a headache. We sit and wait the prescribed 20 minutes, and then Dad starts the car up again. It continues that way for the next several hours. We drive a half hour, 1 hour at the most, and stop when the car starts smoking. The heat becomes unbearable, and Mom gives us permission to get out of the car when we stop. When we finally pull into the campsite, it is after 10 p.m. I am hungry, hot, and grumpy. Let's get the tent up, Dad says, hauling out the large fabric bag. It's late, I say, swatting at a mosquito. Can't we just sleep in the RV? No, he says. This was the arrangement you wanted. You girls in the tent, us in the RV. It sounded like a fun idea last week, inside our chilly house in Arkansas. Now it sounds miserable. We can put it up tomorrow, right, Emily? I say. No, let's sleep in the tent, Emily says. I groan. Mom, I'm tired. I just want to lay down. Mom pauses, the big green cooler in her arms. Jim, just let them sleep in the RV tonight. But I don't want to, Emily exclaims. They don't want to, Dad echoes. I do, I say. But it doesn't matter. Dad and Emily have already started setting up the tent. I blink back tears of frustration and go to the car. I wait until the tent is up, then pull out my sleeping bag and pillow. Good night, girls, Dad says. Everyone else is already in the RV, probably sleeping, feeling the artificial cool air generated by the air conditioner. See you in the morning. I crawl into the tent, fluff my pillow, and don't bother answering. What a miserable start to our vacation. Chapter 3. Magic Time. Well, I don't know what to tell you folks. The mechanic stuffs a greasy rag in the pocket of his overalls, then removes his baseball cap and scratches his balding head. I don't see anything wrong with your car. Be quiet, I tell Scott and Annette for the 100th time. I'm trying to listen to my parents and the mechanic, but it's hard to hear over my brothers and sisters giggling. They jump around the old tires where my mom left me in charge. I grab Annette's arm as she runs by and yank her down. You're supposed to be sitting still. There has to be something wrong, my dad is arguing. All the way from Georgia, we were stopping to let it cool off because it was overheating. It doesn't take a mechanic to know that a car in good condition doesn't do that. The man shrugs. I'm sorry. I mean, you can leave it here if you want. But other than maybe an oil change, I don't know what else we could do to it. Let's just go, my mom says, hands on her hips, a visor shielding her eyes from the bright Florida sun. Here, Mr. Jones pays the mechanic and gestures to us. Annette and Scott take off for the car. Come on, Emily, I say, nudging my sister's foot. We're finally going to Disney World. Yay, Emily says, putting her book away. We get settled in the car and pull out onto the highway, following the big signs that beckon us to Disney World. So what happens if the car breaks down on the way home? I ask. We do what we did on the way here, my dad says shortly, and take it to a real mechanic when we get home. All of my concerns about the car fade away, however, as we approach the Disney gates. Familiar characters and princesses decorate the booths, and though I don't squeal or bounce in my seat like Annette, my pulse quickens in excitement. We're here, Emily cheers. Yeah, Scott yells, and everyone joins him, even my mother. We park the car and get out, and I can't take my eyes from the beautiful sculptured shrubs or the long line of people waiting to get in. I want to see everything, I say, feeling my face split wide with a grin. We can't miss anything. Don't worry, we'll see it all, my mom says. Where's the castle? Emily asks. We follow the crowd of people, handing over our tickets. I don't see anything. That's because we're not at the park, Mom says. We're at the station. From here we can take the monorail or the ferry to the Magic Kingdom. The mono what? I ask. I don't remember as much from my first visit as I'd thought. Everything looks unfamiliar and new. Then again, I was only 4 years old. The monorail, my mom says. It's a train that connects the parks. We hop on the station here and can take the train to Magic Kingdom or to Epcot, or even some of the hotels on Disney property. A train? Scott's eyes look ready to bug out of his head. I want to ride the train. The train, let's do the train, Annette squeals. Yeah, that sounds fun, I say, and Emily nods. This way then, Dad says, gesturing for us to follow him up the ramp. We stand in impatient anticipation as the monorail finally appears in the distance, a train shaped more like a speeding bullet. It comes to an abrupt stop in front of us, and all along the sides, doors slide open. This is awesome, Emily giggles, climbing on. After a moment, the doors close, and the train speeds off again. Scott stares when the tracks lead us right through a building. We arrive too soon for Annette and Scott. Can we go again? Annette begs. Please? We will when the park closes, Mom says. Guys, it's not even a ride, I say, anxious to leave the station behind and get into the park. The real stuff's still in front of us. Look. I point to Cinderella's castle, just looming in the distance. The blue towers stand out against the slate walls, and I find myself wishing more than anything that I could climb those towers. I remember fantasizing about being a princess when I was a little girl. Now here I am, all grown up and still wanting to see the world from the top of a castle. Wait till you see Main Street, Mom says. She and Dad exchange a smile, and she takes his hand. We walk through the gates and come out in a town. I blink in surprise at the quaint buildings nestled up against one another. a cobble street paving the way between them. Shops, my mother explains. But isn't it beautiful? Amazing, I say. My gaze remains transfixed above me, staring at the decorated lettering over the doors. Candy shop, barber shop, toy shop, holiday shop, bakery, ice cream shop. My stomach rumbles appreciatively. Let's get started! The lines aren't too bad this time of year, but we still have to deal with some wait time. My favorite is the Dwarf Mine Ride, a little roller coaster that plays through the scenes of Snow White. Annette likes The Little Mermaid the most. For lunch, we eat at Geppetto's Workshop, a cafe made to look like it came out of the Pinocchio movie. Maybe I'm just starving, but I think the soup in a bread bowl is phenomenal. I eat every last bit, savoring the bowl after the soup is gone. Magic Kingdom closes at 7, Dad says, spreading his map out across the table. And there's a lot to see. I suggest we make an orderly trek through this part of the park, and when we run out of time, we hop on the monorail and head to Epcot. Yeah, the monorail, Annette says. What time does Epcot close? I ask, sitting up straight and looking at the map with my father. 9 o'clock, and they have a really fun fireworks show that you kids will probably like. What about the rest of Magic Kingdom? Emily asks, her eyes wide and blinking. We won't be able to see it all. We're here all week, Emily, I say in my big sister voice. We can come back tomorrow. She brightens at that. Oh, that's right. We better get going, Mom says. Time's ticking. The next few hours fly by. I love the spookiness of the Haunted Mansion, but the fast toboggan-style ride of Space Mountain leaves me screaming happily through the whole ride. I can't decide which I like more. My dad gathers us up before the crowds start and herds us to Epcot, where I have the best chocolate mousse with raspberry sauce I've ever had in my life. Norway, huh? I say, taking my last bite of mousse. I'll have to visit someday. By the time we drive back to the campsite and I crawl into my tent at night, I couldn't care less where I'm sleeping. My whole mind buzzes with happy energy, but my body collapses in exhaustion. What a perfect day. Chapter 4. Rainy days? I dream that I'm swimming. It's unmistakably a dream because I would never go swimming fully clothed. Yet here I am, sopping wet in a shirt and jeans. I dive into the pool and come out shivering. Grabbing a towel to dry off, I realize it's wet too. I can't get warm, I mutter to no one, teeth chattering with the cold. Cassie. My eyes flutter open to see the dark shadow of Emily above me, shaking my shoulders. Cassie, wake up! What's wrong, Emily? I murmur, suddenly aware of how cold and wet I am. No wonder I dreamed of swimming. It's raining and the tent's soaking. What should we do? Sitting up, I hear the rain's tinkling as it falls on the canvas. Drops gather on the inside of the fabric, releasing themselves when gravity proves too much. Water seeps into the tent from the ground, and the sleeping bags are drenched. Ah! I exclaim, grabbing my bag of clothes, hoping to find something dry. Let's get in the RV! Emily grabs her stuff too, and we both tumble out of the tent. I use my bag to shield my head from the rain, rapping on the RV door. Mom! I shout. Daddy! Emily adds. No response, and I bang harder. The rain continues to pour around us, and I tremble. Mother! I holler. The door opens, and Dad stands in the doorway, the RV dark behind him. Come in, he murmurs, his voice thick with sleep. Gotta get out of these clothes, I say, not even caring that my father stands there as I begin to strip. He vanishes into the bathroom and comes back with towels. What's going on? Mom asks, coming out of the back bedroom. It's raining, and the girls are wet. He looks around the RV. The couch is already made into a bed, and Scott and Annette sleep there. I think the table folds out. I find a dry shirt and pants to put on. By the time I finish getting dressed, my dad has the table made into a bed. It's small for the two of us, but it's dry. Change, Emily, I say to my sister, who still stands there in her sopping clothes. Half asleep, Emily starts changing. Mom goes back to the bedroom, but Dad waits until we've crawled into the bed. Are you warm? He asks. I fluff the towel under my head and nod, tiredness pulling at my eyes and making my head feel heavy. Yeah. Emily agrees. Good, we'll see you in the morning then. The rain has lessened by morning, the steady downpour replaced by a gloomy drizzle. The temperature has dropped as well, and Mom makes us wear sweaters under our rain jackets. It was so warm yesterday, I say, wrapping the sweater around me. How did it get cold? It's November here too, my mom says, zipping Annette's jacket. It might not get as cold, but the weather certainly cools off. The entry gates with the colorful Disney characters greet us, cheerful even in the cloudy mist. Can we take the monorail again? Scott asks. No, I exclaim, still determined to try everything at least once. Today we need to take the ferry. Ferries are for girls, Scott says. I love ferries, Annette says. Not that kind of ferry, Emily says. A ferry like a boat. It's a boat? Scott asks, still looking uncertain. Yep, I say. I guess that's fine then, Scott mutters, looking down at the toy transformer in his hands like he doesn't want to admit he is pleased. It's cold. I shiver as we get out of the van. I want the warm sunshine from yesterday back. We get on the ferry and move to the front. A little girl about my age sits on a bench, her hands clutched around her father's arm. I give her a smile and she smiles back. She leans toward her dad and says something that I don't understand at all. I sit next to my father and try to eavesdrop on their conversation, but no matter how I strain my ears, the words don't make sense to me. Are they speaking another language? I ask my dad. They're speaking Spanish, he says. Then Dad turns to the man and says something. The two converse in Spanish for a bit. Cassie, Dad says, taking my hand and pulling me in front of him. Say, ¿Cómo te llamas? I look at him, not sure I can repeat those sounds. ¿Cómo te llamas? He repeats. Say it to the little girl. I force a smile and pronounce, ¿Cómo te llamas? Maria? The girl says. Her black eyes glitter when she smiles. ¿Cómo te llamas? I turn to my father, not sure what to say now. She just told you her name, he says, and then she asked yours. Answer her. Cassie, I say. The girl says something else, the separation of the vowels and consonants completely lost on me. What did she say now? I ask. Ask her, my father prods. I sit back down, flustered and embarrassed. I don't understand Spanish. She said, nice to meet you. Dad says something to Maria's father, and they both laugh. I don't try to speak again, but I listen to the exchange between them. They say goodbye when they get off the ferry. She seemed nice, I say. You should have tried to talk to her more. She was excited to talk to someone. I don't speak Spanish. I could teach you. How do you know Spanish? I learned it in Argentina when I was a missionary. I consider that. It's a very pretty language. It all blends together, kind of sing-songy. Sounded like they were singing. Yes, you're right. Spanish does sound like a song. Abuela speaks Spanish, I say, suddenly thinking of my grandma. She did. She doesn't speak it anymore. But I've heard her speak it when she thinks she's alone. Mom told me it was her first language, and her English has a funny accent. I pay more attention to the people around me after that. I notice several times when I think I hear people speaking Spanish, and other times when I can't tell what language it is. Maybe someday I'd have to learn another language. No one takes any chances on the rain. Mom spends the last hours of the evening at the laundromat, drying the sleeping bags for Emily and me. Then we join the rest of the family in the RV, warm and cozy on our table-turned bed. What was your favorite part about today? I whisper to my sister. I can hear Annette and Scott breathing deeply at their end of the RV. They fell asleep almost as soon as they laid down. The Japanese restaurant, Emily whispers back. I loved watching them cut up and cook our food, and it's the first time I've eaten with chopsticks. Yeah, that was awesome, I agree. So far, the food has been one of the highlights of the vacation. As long as I have good food to eat, I'm happy. What about yours? Emily asks. I don't know. Maybe meeting Maria? I wish I had a way to talk to her. I should have gotten her address. We could be pen pals. Maybe you'll see her tomorrow, Emily murmurs. Her words slur together as her mouth grows too tired to open for them. Yeah, maybe, I say, but I doubt it. Tomorrow we're going to the water park, and I have a feeling it will be cold. I suspect my family will be the only one crazy enough to be there. But even if I don't see Maria, I like the idea of a pen pal. What fun it would be to get mail from somewhere outside of America. Chapter 5. Abandoned tent. The water park doesn't open as early as the other parks, so we eat breakfast inside the trailer. The sun's out, Mom says, putting the milk back in the refrigerator. That doesn't mean it's warm, Dad says, sounding grumpy. It's about 65 degrees outside. Is that cold, I ask. It's warmer than yesterday, Mom says. Do you not want to go, Jim? I never said that. Dad puts on a baseball cap and walks out of the trailer. Is he mad, I ask. Just tired. Vacations wear on him. I can't understand that. I'm tired, but everything about vacation is supposed to be fun, isn't it? Can we go for a walk through the park? There are several other RVs parked at the campground, but my siblings and I haven't had the chance to explore. Maybe there are other kids here. Sure, Mom says. Keep an eye on your brother and sisters. I don't need anyone to watch me, Emily says. She puts her empty bowl in the sink. I'm almost as big as Cassie. True, then you help watch the little ones. Scott starts complaining about how he isn't little, but I pay him no mind. I pull my sweater on and head for the door. Come on, let's go. The campsite is small enough that after 10 minutes, we've seen it all. I didn't see any other kids, Emily says. Yeah, I say. I guess they're all in school. I stop by an RV with a blue awning and a poodle in a small pen out front. Annette gets down in front of the dog and coos. She's wearing pink bows. How cute. Scott joins her. Must be a girl. The owner comes out of the RV and sits down in a chair next to the poodle. She adjusts her visor and frowns at Scott and Annette. Is that your dog? I ask. Yes, the older woman says. Are you kids staying here? Yeah, I nod toward our campsite. Our spot is over there. What's your dog's name? Scott asks. Can I hold her? Emily asks. Her name's Fifi, and she'd rather not be held, but you can look at her. Emily leans in closer, and Fifi yips at her. I love that you painted her toenails, Emily says. I hadn't even noticed that. I lean in too. Cool, I've never seen that before. Yes, she's our little girl. The woman glances around. Isn't your mom going to wonder where you are? No, I say. We told her we're going for a walk. Well, it's Fifi's nap time now. You'll have to say bye. Bye, Fifi, Emily says. We'll come visit some other time. I smile at the older lady. Thanks for showing us your dog. I tug on Scott and Annette, pulling them away from the dog pen. Bye, Annette says, waving to the dog and the woman. Well, we didn't find any other kids, Emily says, skipping along beside me. But that lady was nice, and her dog is super cute. I'm sure she won't mind if we go see them again. Yeah, I say, we made a dog friend. Oh, I love swimming. I could spend all day at the pool, doing nothing but underwater handstands and splashing around. By the time we get to the water park, however, it has started to rain again. I stand under the cabana Mom has claimed, teeth chattering as I shiver out of my shirt and place it on the table. But it's raining, Scott says, clutching his towel to his chest. And you're going to get in the water. You'll be wet anyway. Stop complaining. Dad pulls Scott's shirt over his head. If no one wants to be here, we'll just pack up and head back right now. No, we want to be here, I say. I rub my bare shoulders, trying to erase the goosebumps popping out all along my arms. The lazy river looks fun. Come on, guys. I force myself to walk away from my towel, though I'm so cold my body aches. Cassie, keep Annette with you. Mom gives Annette a little shove, and Annette's skinny legs run her over to me. She has on her floaties. Stick close by, I tell her. I don't want to lose you. We're like the only ones here, Emily murmurs, grabbing an empty inner tube and handing it to me. But not quite. See? There's people. I point to 2 teenage boys a ways ahead of us on the river. I put Annette in the tube and climb up beside her. Both of us lift our legs up, keeping as few body parts in the water as possible. Scott and Emily get in their own tube and push off behind me. I can't get warm. I shiver and rub my arms. My teeth chatter and I cringe anytime the water touches me. I look at Annette, her lips trembling in blue. This isn't fun. A tunnel appears up ahead, with a waterfall flowing across the opening. I groan. The only way onward is through the water. I try to push the inner tube to one side so we won't get as wet, but the resulting cascade doesn't seem any less than it would have been. The dark tunnel is even colder than the open air, and Annette begins to cry. It's okay, I tell her. I touch her freezing skin. We'll be out soon. Nobody says a word as we reach an exit to the lazy river. All 4 of us ascend the steps. I imagine my expression matches the grim faces I see on my brother and sisters. I just want to dry off and go home, Emily says. We should at least try the slides, I say, not quite ready to give up on the day. Don't they look fun? Annette's teeth clatter together, the remnants of tears in the corners of her eyes. No. I'll go with you, Scott says. I can't leave Annette. I'll take her back to Mom, Emily says. We'll sit and wait. Okay. I start for the tall slides, wishing the sun would come out, even for just a little bit. It would make all the difference in the day. We climb to the top of the platform, following the small line of other people who didn't realize how cold it would be today. A wind blows across us, and I can't stop shaking. I wonder if I'll ever be warm again. Scott goes first, and I watch him disappear with the first dip in the slide. I sit down in the shallow pool at the top. The frigid water tickles my thighs, promising more icy delights to come. I could chicken out, get up, and go back down the steps. Your turn, the boy running the slide line says. Just get it over with. I suck in a breath and push off. Instantly, the air pressure knocks me against the slide. I cross my arms over my chest, helpless as the water splashes my face, my arms, my neck, places that I managed to keep dry up until now. Then the slide ends, and I plunge into a pool of water. I shoot my feet down and find the bottom, pushing my head out with a gasp and a sputter. Scott waits for me at the side. He takes my arm and helps me out. I shake from head to toe. All right, I say between clenched teeth. I think I'm done. And the only thing everyone wants to do after the water park is take a nice hot shower. Mom refuses to let everyone use the tiny shower in the RV, so Dad leads us down the trail to the shower house closest to the RV. I stay in the shower longer than necessary. The hot water steams up in the stall and billows around me. I close my eyes and wave it in my face, inhaling the misty warmth. Slowly, the cold infused in my bones starts to peel away. Cassie? Emily calls. Annette went back with Daddy. I'm supposed to wait for you. Are you almost done? I don't want to be done. But the shampoo is out of my hair, and my body no longer feels cold. I turn the water off and count to 5 before opening the stall door. The chilly air blasts over me, and I jerk the towel around my body, rubbing my skin and drying off as quickly as possible. Should we sleep in the tent tonight? Emily asks. I pull on my pajamas. No way, I only just got warm again. Yeah, me too. We troop back to the RV, where Mom is setting the table for dinner. Mom, I say, I don't think it's a good idea if we sleep outside. It might rain, and everything will get wet again. That's fine, she says. Just sit down and eat. I wake up in the morning to see Dad emptying the cupboards and packing things up. I rub my eyes and sit up. That went by fast. Yep, he says. Vacations usually do. Next stop, your cousin's house. Can we say bye to Fifi? Scott murmurs from the sofa bed. Who's Fifi? A dog we met yesterday, I say. Beside me, Emily stirs. Well, if you're going to say bye, do it now. We leave in an hour. I wait my turn to use the bathroom, and then for Scott and Annette to finish using it. I spend the time packing up my clothes. My backpack falls on the floor, and I pause to examine it. The heavy textbooks inside remind me of all the homework I haven't yet done. I'll do it on the drive to Georgia, I promise. We're ready, Emily says. She goes to the RV door, our younger siblings behind her. I drop my bag and join them. The day looks like it will be warmer than the previous 2. Already the air holds the promise of heat, the little teasing kiss that makes me want to shed my sweater. The sun crowns on the horizon. Scott and Annette run ahead down the path. Stay in sight, I call to them. They stop by a tree and start running in circles around it. Looks like we went to the water park on the wrong day, I say to Emily. I hated yesterday, Emily says. I wish we'd gone back to Disney World. Yeah, but we only had 2 tickets. It wasn't enough. I hope we come again and stay longer next time. Hey, Scott comes running back to us. Where was Fifi's trailer? I don't know. I glance around. This spot could have been it, but so many of the RVs and campsites look the same. Maybe around the next bend. We round the bend, but there's no sign of Fifi's pen or the RV with the blue awning. I think it was back behind us, Emily says. We turn around and double back on the path. This was it, Emily says with surety. I look at the empty parking spot, the bare grass where a dog pen could have been. Well, that's too bad. I guess they left already. But, Annette's eyes fill with tears. We didn't get to say goodbye. Annette, it was just a dog, Emily says. And it wasn't even our dog. But she was our friend, Scott says. The only friend we made here. I'm not sure if the situation is pathetic or amusing. Come on, guys. Let's get back to the RV. Chapter 6. Thanksgiving. I hold my breath on the way to Georgia, praying the car will make it. Surprisingly, it doesn't start smoking once. Maybe the mechanic was right, and there wasn't anything wrong with it. We get lost on the way to my aunt's house, so we pull into a church while Mom calls her sister to make sure we're on the right path. Just up the road, she says when she gets off the phone. We're close. By the time we arrive, it's late evening. We park in the long driveway, and before I even have the chance to get out of the car, my cousins spill out the side door of the house. I saw them a few years ago at a family reunion, but I can't remember their names. I climb over the cooler and get out. Hi, I say to the girl. I'm Cassie. I know who you are, she replies. You're my cousin. Yes, but I'm drawing a blank as to her name. And you're? Carla, she says with a scoff. You don't remember our names? All 3 of them stare at me now, and I glance around for my mom. But my parents have gone into the house, their arms laden with luggage. Sure, I remember. You've just changed, and I wasn't sure who was who. Oh, okay. That seems to satisfy her. Bring in your stuff and I'll show you where you're sleeping. I get my sleeping bag and duffel bag. After a moment's hesitation, I grab my backpack. I've only spent about half an hour on my homework today. I'll probably have the chance to do more while we're here. Everyone can come, Carla says, directing her siblings to help get bags. You're all sleeping in the same place. Okay, I say. I nod at Emily. Emily, Annette, Scott, come on. I follow Carla into the garage and up a set of stairs, then through the kitchen and into a big room on the other side. This is where y'all will be sleeping, Carla says. I dump my sleeping bag against the wall. 2 big televisions face the room. What do you usually do in here? It's the game room. The boys play video games on that screen and we watch movies on that one. She points out the different screens. The boys will probably be here in tomorrow morning to play. This is where they hang out. Oh, great, I nod. Thanks. Yeah, we'll see you in the morning. Carla backs out of the room. One of the boys, who looks a little younger than Scott, is showing off a toy. That's awesome, Scott says. Does it transform? I hide a smile. Scott wants everything to transform. No, it's not a transformer. I have a great video game, though. I'll show you tomorrow. I love video games. Not me. Big waste of time, if anyone asks me. I didn't get a great welcome vibe from Carla. I suddenly long for my own bed, my own room, my own dog. I unroll my sleeping bag and curl up inside. Boring. That's the best word to describe hanging out at Carla's house. The younger boy invades the guest room before I'm even awake, turning on the video game. The gaming starts before breakfast and shows no signs of stopping. I get dressed and eat cereal. At least they have a good selection. My aunt and uncle are in the kitchen, but no sign of Carla. Where's Carla? I ask, putting my dirty bowl in the sink. Around here, we take care of our dirty dishes, my Uncle Gary says, stopping me before I leave the sink. You need to put your bowl in the dishwasher. Oh. I blush under the chastisement and retrieve my dirty bowl. I carefully line it up in the dishwasher. I'm almost afraid to ask again, but I do anyway. Where's Carla? My uncle walks out of the kitchen, and my aunt says, probably in her room. Thanks, I say, and I hurry away, wondering why my mom's relatives are so weird. I've never been upstairs before, but figure Carla's room must be up there, since nothing else is down here. I run into my parents in the front room, sitting in the library and reading. Hi, I say, joining them. Hi, dear, my mom says, putting a book down. Why aren't you with Carla? I think she's still sleeping, I say. I haven't seen her yet today. Well, go play. Once we start making food for Thanksgiving, you won't have the chance to hang out. Go play. Such great advice. If only I could find something to do. Okay. I climb the stairs and pause at the top. A bathroom and 3 closed doors face me. I knock on one door and push it open. This is my office, my uncle says, not even turning around in his leather chair. He sits with his back to me, typing away at a computer. There's a game room downstairs and a living room and a library. Find somewhere else to play. I close the door quietly, not bothering to respond. I feel like a nuisance in this house. I give up looking for Carla's room and go back to the guest room. With nothing else to do, I pull out my backpack and select a homework assignment. How utterly shameful, when I'm resigned to do homework for entertainment. So, nobody gathers for a formal lunch. I wander into the kitchen when I get hungry, and my mom makes me a sandwich. Then she puts me to work peeling potatoes. Did you find Carla? She asks. No, I reply. I don't elucidate on the situation either. I peel potatoes, then sweet potatoes, then help roll out pie crusts. Slowly, my spirits begin to rise. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, a day of feasting and good feelings. My Aunt Jadine prepares a quick meal of soup and crackers for dinner, and Mom rounds us up. I haven't seen Carla all day. Are your kids coming to dinner? I ask my aunt. She hands me a stack of bowls. Put these on the table, please, she says. Then she walks over to a speaker in the wall and presses a button. Kids, we're eating dinner. Time to come down. I stare in fascination at the wall. Is that an intercom? Yes. My aunt takes the bowls from me and begins to place them on the table. It's quieter and more efficient than yelling. She gives Mom a significant look. It works just fine in our house, Mom says with a shrug. Right, Cassie? I prefer everything about our house, all the way down to the endless amounts of noise. I like it. Aunt Jadine laughs. Boy, you've got them trained, Karen. At least we don't spend all day in our rooms, I think. But I say nothing. especially when Carla and her brother troop into the kitchen a moment later, disgruntled expressions on their faces. Scott and Annette come out of the game room with the youngest. We say a blessing over the soup and start eating. "What have you done all day?" I ask Carla. "Just listened to music and written in my journal. It's been a nice, relaxing day." "You should play with your cousins while they're here," Aunt Jadine says. "They won't be here forever, you know." Carla looks at her mother and rolls her eyes. Her expression is easy to interpret. The sooner they're gone, the better. I couldn't have said it better myself. I spend Thanksgiving Day in the game room, learning how to play video games with my boy cousins. I'm horrible at it. Even the youngest at 3 years old is way better. And they have no patience with me. Instead of giving me instructions on what to do better, they yell at me and tell me to give them the controller. I willingly oblige them. I work on my homework until my mom yells, "Time to eat!" The intercom in the room buzzes with Aunt Jadine's voice. "Dinner is ready, everyone!" I dump my homework and scurry out of the room. Another table has been set up to accommodate all the food, and my mouth waters as I take it all in. There are my favorites, the must-haves at Thanksgiving. Turkey, gravy, mashed potatoes, rolls, and a few items my aunt has added that I'm not too sure about. And then, of course, the desserts. Pumpkin pie, apple pie, cranberry pie, cherry pie. I sit on my hands to keep from clapping with delight. "Before we eat," Dad says, coming up behind Mom and placing his hands on her shoulders, "we have a tradition in my family, if we may." "Please," Uncle Gary says, motioning him forward. "We always hand out corn kernels. My dad produces a small jar full of unpopped popcorn. Everyone take 2. He starts with Uncle Gary. Carla looks at them suspiciously, but takes 2 just like everyone else. I know what's coming. I take my 2 and beam at my father. Now it feels more like home. "Now I'm going to pass the jar around again, and you're going to put the kernels back. But as you do, say one thing you are grateful for with each kernel." I don't pay much attention to everyone else's gratitude lists. I formulate my 2 in my mind, wanting to say something impactful, true, and profound. The jar appears in front of me, and I drop one in. I'm grateful to live in a country where we can safely travel whenever we want. I drop in the other. And I'm grateful for a family that understands me and supports me. And I understand them. I look at my mother and smile, ever so glad to be a Jones. You've been listening to Episode 3, Road Trip from Season 1, Walker Wildcats. Year 1, Age 10 of The Extraordinarily Ordinary Life of Cassandra Jones by Tamara Hart Heiner. Be sure to subscribe and not miss a single thing. Episode 4 available soon.
Made with Spoken. Now available at spoken.press.